Right now at 10, a last-minute twist. What a former high school football star's attorney found out just hours before the start of a sexual assault case. The exclusive details tonight.
More than baseball, a bipartisan game and an all-American sport unite to fight hate.
A group of kids from around the world here in Austin for a camp that will change their lives.
And duck for cover, signs warning about a pesky Texas problem watching from the sky. The Night Beat starts now. First tonight, a KVUE Defender's Austin American-Statesman exclusive. Greg Kelly's lawyer called it an 11th hour rumor.
But tonight we know that in the days leading up to Kelly's trial on child sexual assault charges, his lawyer heard speculation possibly implicating Kelly's best friend and roommate in the crime.
Tony Plohetzky has been sorting it all out, including how Kelly's lawyer handled that information at the time. It's another turn in this dramatic case that has gripped the community.
This new information shows on at least some level Jonathan McCarty's name was being whispered just before his friend and former football teammate Greg Kelly went to trial in 2014. At the time, Kelly's lawyer did not ask for the trial to be delayed or tell prosecutors about the rumor because she insists there was not enough information to go on. Experts say it's easy to second-guess that decision now, but they point out that defense lawyers must often make those kinds of judgment calls under pressure and at the last minute before a high-stakes trial, just like Greg Kelly's. This is the man prosecutors say is now considered a suspect in the sexual assault of a boy that led to Greg Kelly's conviction and a 25-year prison sentence. 3 years ago, on the weekend before trial, attorney Patricia Cummins writes in this newly obtained affidavit that she heard something about him. A person communicated to me that someone had seen what appeared to be child pornography on Jonathan McCarty's cell phone. No other information was provided to me regarding the issue at the time. Hence, there was nothing to investigate based on this kind of unsubstantiated rumor. Cummings added, I concluded that even if an investigation of the information was possible, it would not lead to the discovery of admissible evidence, and any time spent on pursuing this type of 11th hour rumor would actually be counterproductive to my continued efforts to prepare for trial. A jury later convicted Kelly
guilty of the offense of super aggravated sexual assault.
And now, 3 years later, his new defense lawyers have filed court documents saying McCarty did, in fact, have child pornography on his computer and cell phone.
It's easy to sit back and second guess in light of what's happened and say, well, that lawyer should have done this or should have done that. But to go back to that point in time, I think it'd be very hard to criticize the lawyer for the decision they made.
Retired State District Judge John Wisser has dealt with these types of issues his entire career. He is not involved in the case, but added that Cummings would also have had a difficult time getting a judge to delay the trial based on speculation alone.
These are things like a large ship going through the ocean. Once they get going, a lot of things have happened, and they're very hard to turn away from that trial date. And most judges, if the defense lawyer just say, well, I heard a rumor that so-and-so may have happened, is going to require more than that before they grant a continuance in a case like this, which no doubt involved a lot of witnesses and a lot of money and a lot of time.
Now, Cummings' affidavit will be used by Kelly's defense team to show he at least deserves a new trial. To be clear, Jonathan McCarty has not been charged with anything related to this case, but the Texas Rangers are still investigating. As we have reported, Greg Kelly is now back in the Williamson County Jail to help get ready for a hearing in August when he will try to have his conviction overturned. I did reach out to Patricia Cummings, who said she was unable to comment aside from her affidavit because of attorney-client privilege. Tony Plohetzky, KVUE News.
Patricia Cummings was part of a legal team that helped get Michael Morton declared innocent after he wrongfully served 25 years in prison for the murder of his wife. She went on to head the Conviction Integrity Unit for the Dallas County District Attorney's Office, but has since returned to Round Rock, where she has a private practice.
Cheers tonight as Republicans and Democrats huddled together a day after a man opened fire on a Republican baseball practice. Former UT student Zach Barth, who was shot himself, was on the field on behalf of those still recovering. Representative Stephen Scalise remains in critical condition tonight in the hospital. Capitol Police Officer Crystal Ginger and Mike Micah, a lobbyist, are still fighting to recover as well. Meanwhile, investigators are trying to figure out the motive of the deceased shooter, 66-year-old James Hodgkinson, who had a history of anti-Trump and anti-Republican rhetoric.
New tonight, two dangerous criminals finally off the streets. 43-year-old Donnie Russell Rowe and 24-year-old Ricky Dubose were taken into custody today after a car chase in Tennessee. The two escaped Tuesday after overpowering and killing two correctional officers who were driving a transport bus.
Using a black box to illustrate their point, local organizations gathered to plead with U.S. lawmakers to protect Medicaid. They say this black box, with who knows what inside, represents what Republican senators are doing. Negotiations over their repeal and replace bill for Obamacare are happening behind closed doors. Representatives from 25 organizations, fearful Medicaid may be on the chopping block, sent a letter to Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, who are helping to craft that bill, asking them to preserve Medicaid. They say, among other things, cuts would be a direct hit to schools and students.
Texas leads all states in the amount of Medicaid funding it uses to support school-based health services and services for students who have special needs.
The 15 senators writing the bill met with the president Tuesday. He reportedly told them the House-approved bill that he previously praised is mean and called on the senators to craft a generous bill. Big developments tonight from D.C. We just learned the Pentagon is planning on sending almost 4,000 additional U.S. forces to Afghanistan. The official announcement could be as early as next week. And tomorrow, President Trump is expected to put travel and business restrictions on Cuba. The changes are not expected to affect the renewed diplomatic relations with that country.
Texas governor axing nearly 50 bills sent to his desk. Among them, a bill that would have helped low-income families stay in Austin. The governor says the bill did so at the expense of taxpayers, and the best way to keep families from losing their homes is to cut property taxes. We've posted a link to all the governor's veto statements at KVUE.com, and of course, the special session the governor called is just over a month away.
Today, City Council approved a contract that allows the Austin Fire Department to take over operation of Travis County Emergency Services District 4. The plan calls for ESD4 to pass along its tax revenues, which are just over $3.5 million, along with equipment and employees to Austin Fire. In turn, AFD would take charge of the stations and cover the entire area. That deal begins on October 1st.
Well, a lot of sunshine for Central Texas today. Just some storms, though, out to our west, moving through the San Angelo area. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for areas you see there in yellow, not including Central Texas. Hill Country may be an isolated shower for Mason or Llano, but most of us are just going to stay pretty dry. 99 degrees was the high both in Llano and Austin, both of us 1 degree away from the triple-digit mark. A lot of us coming close. And even though it didn't technically reach 100 degrees, it sure felt like over 100 degrees across most of Central Texas today. Current temperatures across the area have now dropped into the 80s. We'll call it pleasantly warm as we head into tonight. But we're tracking more heat on the way for the weekend, and that heat index continues to soar. Plus, an eye on the tropics. Nothing developing just yet, but could there be something next week? We're going to look into that coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Lene. Well, chances are you've seen and, of course, heard dozens of them in random Austin parking lots. We're talking about grackles, those iridescent winged black birds with a distinctive call that may be getting a little too close for comfort for some students at UT. The NYPE's Tina Shively joins us live now from the University of Texas near Gregory Gym with more. Tina?
Well, Quita, the school's Environmental Health and Safety Division put up flyers in this area earlier this week. Those flyers warning of aggressive birds and suggest that people do what they can to stay out of their way. Central Texas grackles are known to be noisy, brave, and maybe even a bit angry.
Around this time of year, they usually have nests, and so they're generally quite aggressive.
Caitlin Friesen is a graduate student studying ecology, evolution, and behavior at UT.
It's hard when they are a species that is so closely linked to human use patterns to avoid them completely.
And that's why the school is posting these flyers. warning people spending time at the new picnic tables near Gregory Gym that area birds can be aggressive. Friesen thinks an increase in construction and therefore a decrease in open space may be to blame.
And have the sort of vantage points of the trees that allow them to look out for predators, whereas on campus now you have not so many sort of wide open points.
The flyer doesn't trouble PhD student Chris Burnett.
I mean, I'm not worried about my well-being or safety around them.
He points out the grackles aren't the only gregarious species near Gregory.
Squirrels can be just as much of a nuisance as the birds, for sure.
Our cameras caught that firsthand. Muni Gariaga not seeming to mind sharing her crackers.
It's actually more entertaining for me, at least, to say, oh, birds don't usually get that close to me anyway, so.
As I showed her the flyer, she seemed to wonder if her snacks could be the problem.
Should I stop feeding the birds?
That's not for me to say, but at least she walked away aware of the potential danger. And while many people agreed that the birds here are kind of annoying, there wasn't one person I spoke to who said they'd actually been attacked in this area. Live at UT, Tina Shively, KVUE News Nightbeat.